I've got an incredible story to tell you in honor of Black History Month. You're gonna love it, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the RJ Chapman Show. And as promised, something that relates really well to Black History Month. We're gonna talk about Doris Miller. Have you ever heard of Doris Miller? Well, some people have, but not enough. Let me tell you about Doris Miller. He came from Waco, Texas, and he was born in 1919. He reported to the Navy in 1940. And you know why? His family was hungry. That's what he said. My family was hungry, and it was better than staying in Waco. Now, back in those days, Black people could only work as they washed clothes and they polished the officers' shoes. Their Navy uniforms did not even have the little anchors on the black buttons. Yeah, it was quite a different time back then. Anyway, Doris was in Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941, when the Japanese struck. Now, he was below decks, washing some laundry or taking care of something for some of the officers when they got hit. And he came out underneath there and got up into the bridge, and the guy said, "Doris, get the captain, he's wounded. Move the captain to the other side of the bridge." Well, Doris, he was the heavyweight championship guy on that boat, 1,125 guys, so he was strong. He picked up the captain and he moved him to the other side of the bridge. Unfortunately, the captain did lose his life. Well, he got hit with another bomb, and Doris, he crawls down, and next thing he knows, he's right next to a machine gun, a 50 caliber machine gun. Now, he doesn't know anything about machine guns, but he later said, hey, there wasn't much to it. You just grabbed hold and pulled the trigger. Well, it was loaded, it was ready to go, and he started shooting at the Japanese. He shot down, some people say as many as 6 planes, but they're pretty sure he shot down 2. That's amazing. That's just amazing. Well, word about a Black man did something heroic in Pearl Harbor started to leak out. And one of the newspapers did a little, digging on it, and they found out that it was Doris Miller. And once that got out, what they used to do back in the day was, if you were a hero, if you did something heroic in the war, you came home to America. So if you were a sailor, you did something heroic, you came home to America for a couple of months, and they brought you around the nation and had you do speeches to get people to buy war bonds. Yeah, but guess what? They didn't bring Doris Miller home. Yeah, once again. But the newspaper got a hold of that too. And guess what? The next thing you know, Doris Miller gets to come home and tell the whole story about what happened and, push war bonds at the same time. What's really cool about this is Doris Miller was awarded, and check it out, I've got one right here. He was awarded the Navy Cross, and they pinned that on his chest. Guess who pinned it on his chest? Chester W. Nimitz. This is the 3rd highest award in the United States Navy. It's really heavy. I wish you could hold it right now because you'd understand how heavy it is. So Doris came home to America. He's wearing his medal. But he was also put in for this. This is the Medal of Honor. Can you believe I'm holding this? I've never even seen one of these before. But guess what? It's a fake. It's not real. There was a company that made a bunch of these, and they sold them, and you're not supposed to sell this medal. You can't buy it, and you can't sell it. Well, when they found out that that company was selling these medals, they had to pay the fine. It was $80,000 plus another $22,500. But guess what? That company made all the medals for the United States Navy. We dropped their contract. And guess what? They lost $155 million worth of business. You don't mess around with the Medal of Honor. Back to Doris. He was put in for the Medal of Honor. Now, It has to go through a bunch of levels. People got to say yes, say yes, say yes. And finally, it got to one step before the President of the United States, and two guys disapproved the Medal of Honor for Doris Miller. Well, after he did his thing, sold war bonds, he went back to the Navy, and they put him on a little tiny aircraft carrier. It's called a pocket carrier. Not very much armament and very little protection. And they got shot by a Japanese torpedo, and Doris died. But that's not the end of the story. Guess what? We're building these brand new aircraft carriers. We just built one the other day. It's called the Ford. And the next one's got a name, but the next one's named the Doris Miller. Gonna name an aircraft carrier after him. That's pretty dang cool. And you know what? I think he deserves the Medal of Honor. You can still give it to him. Somebody out there make some waves, shake a tree. Let's give it to him, give it to his family. There's a big memorial in Waco, Texas for Doris Miller and a statue of him. He died 2 weeks before December 7th, 1943. Black History Month. Remember Doris Miller, a true American hero. Pay attention to this month. Maybe read up on a few things. And remember to give credit where credit is due. R.J. Chapman, out.